Earl Grey, piping hot.
I'll see you in 500 years, Picard.
And I'll see you in a few minutes.
Who the hell are you, old man?
Star Trek Picard's second season has taken us on some wild twists and turns that would even have Spock raising an eyebrow.
Humans make illogical decisions.
But one of the unexpected surprises was when 2024 Guinan had no idea who Jean-Luc Picard was. We suddenly had a new Guinan, a new time, and a new attitude. This was not the same Yoda-like El-Elorian Star Trek fans are used to seeing. This was a frustrated, impatient, humanity sucks version of our favorite Enterprise bartender, and the combination of all these things together became the biggest talking point of Picard Season 2 so far. I mean, Q loses his powers, but the big debate is what happened to Guinan.
That's unexpected.
So what gives? Did the Star Trek Picard showrunners lose a few pages from their Star Trek Bible, or is all this timey-wimey stuff messing with our brains?
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Or more importantly, were mistakes made during the construction of our prickly new Guinan? We've uncovered a few things that might have you saying,
What are you talking about, Willis?
So you don't want to miss this episode. Also, make sure you stay tuned until later in the show, where we'll be showing you how to get this awesome Star Trek Picard Vineyard and Winery graphic design from the amazing artists at mixtees.com. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so now, and give us a thumbs up if you want more news about your favorite shows. Also, click the notification bell to never miss an episode.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
It's important to point out here that in 2024, Guinan is already almost 300 years old. That age is difficult to see in this fresh-faced actress, despite being an excellent-looking recast for young Guinan. Ito Agaire is a 29-year-old Nigerian, Canadian, and American actress. Say that 3 times. She did her homework on Guinan and boasts growing up as a Star Trek The Next Generation fan. So the question is, why were there so many mistakes? Was it her or was it the writers? Was Agaire just unable to tap into her inner Guinan, or did the heavy-handed political message take precedence over her role? But hold on to that thought for just a moment, and let's take a deeper look into Guinan's memory. The first time we realized that time travel was going to be a core element of Picard Season 2, we thought this could go really bad.
Goddamn time travel.
But the good news is that Terry Matalas was the co-showrunner, and he is good for Star Trek. Matalas is best known for his work on the series 12 Monkeys, a science fiction TV series that mastered time travel, told a cohesive story, and left no plot holes. Combine this with the fact that Matalas was a production assistant on Star Trek Voyager and an associate producer on Star Trek Enterprise, and we have a guy who understands how to deal with time travel and has a master's degree in Star Trek. Recognizing the direction Picard Season 2 was going, and knowing Matalas was directly tied to everything happening at the end of Enterprise, including the 2-part shows of In a Mirror Darkly as well as Demons and Terra Prime, it was time to get excited. Matalas helped craft Enterprise episodes that show us a future where Zefram Cochrane shoots the Vulcan that lands at first contact and create the Mirror Universe, something that looks eerily familiar to the alternate timeline of the Confederation. He also worked on the Enterprise episodes that focused on Colonel Philip Green and the legacy of his atrocities that take place near and around 2024 in the Star Trek timeline. He covered Augments, the Eugenics War, and also helped create the character of Eric Soong, whose descendant will soon be meeting with Q in this season of Picard. Suffice it to say, he is the person to take us back to this time in Star Trek history. That said, every Star Trek fan knows Guinan met Picard in San Francisco in 1893, thanks to Data losing his head in Star Trek The Next Generation's 2-part episode, Time's Arrow. So if you were confused when Picard walked into 2024 10 Forward and Guinan looked at him like a crazy old man off the street, you weren't the only one. But before we break that down, did you forget to pick up a souvenir the last time you visited Chateau Picard's Vineyard and Winery? Well, we've got you covered. Literally. Check out this awesome apparel inspired by the Picard family operation. Pick up your favorite t-shirt, hoodie, coffee mug, or mousepad today and get 20% off your purchase by using coupon code THEPOPCAST. The link is in the description below.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. Apologies.
As a fan of TNG, Aguirre was confused that Guinan didn't know Picard as well. She said she brought up the potential continuity issue of Time's Arrow to Metalis. I don't think he ever got me a clear answer on it, and I think never will. It took rewatching Back to the Future 2 for it to really sink in. But essentially, Guinan doesn't recognize Picard because in this version of events, she did not meet him in 1893 because in the Confederation future that Picard comes from, Starfleet doesn't exist, and the whole thing with Data's head and Time's Arrow never happened. So if Picard and the crew stop whatever happens in 3 days, Guinan and Picard can have that warm reunion over some Saurian brandy before he heads back to the future. Or wait, will he just disappear because time is fixed? No, that's right. He will need 1.21 gigawatts of Borg electricity to get him and the La Serena crew back to his own time.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Oh, what about the whales? If there's no Federation, then Kirk didn't travel back in time to grab George and Gracie to keep the alien probe from destroying Earth in the future?
I think you did a little too much LDS.
One time travel problem at a time, please. As for Guinan and her memory lapse, Metalis got it right. But we can't let him and his writing team off the hook that easy. Remember earlier when we were talking about Aguirre struggling to tap into her inner Guinan? That was very real. This version of Guinan did not line up with the cool, calm, and collected character Whoopi Goldberg spent more than a decade cultivating. On TNG, Guinan is more than 600 years old, and her wisdom is unmatched. She's calm, cool, and collected, unless you start talking about the Borg. The nearly 300-year-old version we run into in 2024 isn't remotely like her future counterpart, and despite being on Earth since at least 1893, it's hard to believe that this is the timeline that finally makes her give up on humanity. Humanity's destruction of the Earth and each other, and the level of discrimination she must have felt walking shoulder to shoulder with Mark Twain at the turn of the 20th century must have been incredible. She witnessed the end of the industrial age and the rise of the oil industry where smokestacks poured poison into the air for decades. She witnessed 100 million people die in both world wars. She watched nuclear testing, Vietnam, and more than 20 genocides that killed more than 30 million people. She was there for the height of lynchings and the KKK, Jim Crow laws that legalized segregation, and the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. Yet for some reason, 2024 is the straw that breaks the camel's back? We would expect this from a 29-year-old young woman. But a 300-year-old Ellalorian who should be wise beyond the understanding of any human at this point? No. In fact, the roles are reversed as Picard plays the wise person of reason despite being a third of her age. We should have been given glimpses of the woman-to-be, but instead we were pulled out of the story and given a heavy-handed political message. But don't blame Aguirre. She can only deliver what the writers give her. She probably wondered why she was throwing up from some made-up time sickness when Guinan didn't blow a single chunk in 10 Forward during the episode Yesterday's Enterprise when she recognized the ship and her crew were in the wrong timeline. She probably recognized the forced plot device when she realized they didn't have a good reason for her to trust and believe Picard without fabricating something unnecessary to move the story along. Did the writers forget that Guinan got her time-sensitive abilities during Star Trek Generations when the Enterprise B beamed her away from the Nexus at a critical moment that brought her physical body back but left behind her echo? In an early version of the Star Trek Generations script, Guinan explains that her experience with the Nexus and Enterprise B are responsible for her sixth sense. This would end up not making it into the final script, but Ronald D. Moore confirmed this during a 1997 AOL chat session. Even the novel Engines of Destiny includes a confrontation between Guinan and the Guardian of Forever, revealing that the Nexus is her source of constant feelings. Dear writers of Picard, we found this in like 5 minutes. Instead of creating something totally new about Ellelorians contrary to canon, Picard could have simply earned her trust.
I expect you to do better!
While this version of Guinan may leave us wanting more, her inability to remember Picard seems sound. And while this hiccup during episode 4 took us out of the story, it is not a referendum on the entire season. Perhaps now that the messaging has been delivered, we can get back to the story and perhaps a more recognizable version of our wise advice-dealing bartender of the future. What do you think? Is this explanation of time travel sufficient, or do you see it another way? Did the new Guinan pull it off, or does she have some work to do? What the heck did Guinan do to the Watcher that makes her want to put her boot through her face?
Perhaps you didn't hear me, Guinan. Get out of here before I lose my very tenuous grip on my need to put my boot through your face.
Let's talk about it in the comments below. Hungry for more current pop culture news? Then make sure you head over and subscribe to the Popcast Unleashed for daily content. Hear us talk about all of your favorite things. Click on the link in the description below. Until next time.
Change always comes later than we think it should.
Don't want the show to end? Become a Popcast member by hitting the join button to get exclusive content including special member live streams, Discord privileges, behind the scenes access, and so much more. Click join and let's hang out.